Hey stars, welcome to my channel, Shae.equilibrium, where it's all about maintaining a balance in our style, emotion, relationship, and our spiritual life. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, but it's long overdue, and so here it is. Today, I have a young man who's going to talk to us about balance, and I had two young women in the past who came and spoke with us. I will have those videos linked below if after watching this video you feel like indulging yourself in more balance. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce to some and present to others. Otaniyiwa.
Hey everyone.
Hi, Ota. How are you? I know I went and said Ota, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to go ahead and introduce yourself to the subscribers or viewers. If you're not subscribed, subscribe.
All right, so first of all, thank you for allowing me to be on the channel. My name is Otaniyiwa Airway, but I go by Ota. I'm also Natasha's son, so her second son. About myself, so I am a graduate of Howard University, so I graduated in class of 2023, psychology, economics double major. And I think some of the things that you should know about me is that faith is a large part of my life. In terms of me personally, I like to go to the gym, I like to make music and sing, and I like to spend time with God, and I love my family, so I think those are the key things about me.
Amen, amen. I like that. So we're off to a good start. He already told us a couple of things that I'm sure he has to balance in his life. But before we go into that, can you tell me, what do you think that balance means?
Yeah, so I think it's a good question. To me, balance is, well, when I think of balance, I automatically think of like a seesaw. I don't think that's the name of it, but like it's making sure that whatever is on this side counterweights whatever's on the other side, and so everything in your life has to kind of account for the weaknesses in other areas, I guess.
Come on now. I love that analogy. I like that visual that you just gave, the seesaw. That's the correct word for it. Absolutely. I could definitely see the seesaw that if, one side is too heavy, it will topple the other side over. Yep. So do you find yourself having to balance anything in your life? And if so, what are some of the things that you're balancing?
Well, when you first told me about this, what I was balancing was different. And so, I mean, I don't think they know. So recently, last Monday, or I'll go into like what I was balancing before when we initially spoke about this. Obviously, I graduated from college in 2023, and I had an internship that summer. Right after that internship, I had two jobs. One working for the NBA, which was a part-time role, and then I had a full-time role working for a company called Dentsu. And it was crazy. It was me waking up, doing my 9 to 5, and then commuting to New Jersey to do that for the NBA, like starting games and all of that. And then outside of that, I also had my church obligations, because as I got back into Refuge after being away for a while, I immediately kind of jumped into the music ministry. And I was put in positions there that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with, but I was saying yes to it. And so I was balancing both jobs, balancing being an active member at Refuge, and balancing, this is just for me personally on an emotional level, being away from college and being away from like what I was used to. And so, what was your question again? Like you were asking?
Yeah, you're answering. I asked you, were you balancing anything? So I guess the answer is yes, absolutely.
So at that
and then I asked you, like, what were you balancing? So you're telling me now a whole ton load of things that you had on your plate while you're on your seesaw.
Yeah, on my seesaw, exactly. And if you could tell, actually, I'll go into that later. But right now, as of like last week, Monday, they laid off my team for my full time, and we're in the off season for the NBA right now. So in terms of the work front, I don't have as much to balance, but that just gives me more opportunity to balance things in my own personal life. And so now one of the things that I've really been getting into recently is like going to the gym. And then obviously now I'm looking for a job, so that's another thing that I want to balance. And then I have plans, or I'm thinking about pursuing education further. So taking steps to do that is another thing I'm balancing. Obviously the church responsibilities are never going to go away. I recently started a group called Kingdom Sound, which is kind of like in tandem with my church responsibilities, but it's something different, another layer to it. So that's another thing that I want to balance. And then relationships and all of that other stuff. But it's a lot more personal stuff and personal development. And so I feel like the balancing that I'm doing now has the potential to be more rewarding, but I just started doing that. So,
woo. That was heavy.
yeah, I was speaking for a while.
That was heavy. No, that's okay. That's okay for you to speak when you have a lot that you are dealing with on your seesaw,
Yeah.
right? You're going to definitely have to know how to balance those things, or maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to lead me into my next question. And actually, you mentioned something that I kind of want to and kind of jump forward a bit into another question. So I have kind of like a twofold question, but I'm going to ask this first one first because I always think about the person. And so I heard you say that you were laid off recently from your job.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm quite sure that was a big hit to you emotionally. I'm not sure. So I'm going to ask, right? Because I'm quite sure everyone out there want to know.
Yeah.
How are you balancing that emotionally?
Well, here's the thing. The role wasn't. I'm always going to be appreciative to Dentsu and the company I worked at because it gave me an opportunity when I got out of college and they put me in a place where I could gain new experiences and be in a professional setting. I mean, I had internships in professional settings, so I wasn't new to it, but like as a full-time salary employee, that was my first time, and so I'm always going to be appreciative, and I learned a lot there. When they let me go, I wasn't upset that they let me go. I wasn't mad that they let me go, sad, anything like that. Honestly, I felt like it was time for me to leave Dentsu prior to that. And so when the meeting started, and this is my second time being let go. I was let go one time when I was in college, like my internship. It was a startup and they ended up like closing down, so they let the staff go. This time it was a similar process. Like it was the EVP of our department, and they came on the call, and I saw her facial expression. I was like, I feel like I know what this is. But then like I was making small talk. I was like, so what'd you do this weekend? I just saw Spider-Man yesterday, and like from her responses, I was like, yeah, this hasn't been an easy morning for her. And then HR got on the call, and as soon as I saw HR jumped on, I like pinged my director, and I was like, yeah, they're letting me go. So honestly, emotionally, in terms of like being let go, I think God knows what he's doing and everything happens for a reason. I like making money. So
don't we all?
Yeah, so that part of it is like I will adjust to that and figure out how to navigate moving forward from here. But
so I'm gonna just push back on you a little bit because and I'm going outside of some of our previously talked about but you said that emotionally you were fine because you were kind of like at a place where you figured that you should have left already, right? Do you think like that was God kind of like giving you the boot?
Well, like I said, everything happens for a reason. Do I think that was God giving me the boot or like propelling me to whatever he has for me next? I think I was always like having an eye towards the future, and so like I was trying to do things that like set me up for that even before like that happened. Obviously now I have more time, so I guess you can say that, but my mind was always like, even before that happened, I was like trying to see what I was going to do next.
Okay. And so in the whole balancing thing with everything that you mentioned that you have on your plate, you talk about kingdom sounds, which is something you said that's different from the ministry, but I'll give you an opportunity to talk about that a little bit more in depth. You talk about also being in ministry, being a part of the choir in your church. You also spoke about the fact that you are at the NBA and you are also pursuing possibly returning to school, which I hope he does. And you're also looking for other jobs in the meantime. Now, do you actually think that balance is important in all of this? Or it really doesn't matter?
I mean, balance is always important. Like you have to figure out how to do it, and transparently I still am figuring out how to do it because for one, I think having a routine, having a schedule like helps you to do that. And I got into a habit of like having work and then like resting for a little bit, going to the gym, and then taking time for myself towards the end of the day and stuff like that. That's the habit that I had gotten into over the summer. Now, with that structure of like having to wake up in the morning, now I'm like, all right, I need to go to the gym first thing in the morning. But now it's like, but I have all day to do it. But me having that mindset is like, there's other things that I need to get done, and me pushing off the first thing that I'm gonna do is gonna push off the rest of the day. So I think having a routine is an important part of having balance, because all the things that I want to get to, if I don't handle the beginning of my day properly, I'm not going to be able to have that type of balance over the rest of the day.
So starting your day right matters.
Starting your day right is honestly one of the most important things that you can do. Also, like, if you wake up and you handle things early, like, it just opens up the rest of your day. That's one of the things that I'm aiming to do, and I think in this season, that's one of the things that I'm going to be focusing a lot of my effort and attention on, because like I said, it is a seesaw. So like, I don't want to be hyper focused on one thing, and then, because like obviously my health and my wellness, like the first thing I want to do is, obviously after I pray and all of that, I want to go to the gym and do that.
And you're looking good, son. You're looking good.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But if I do that and it's like 6 o'clock at the point where I'm done, then the things that I want to do for my career, the things that I want to do for my education, the things that I want to do for like my relationships and stuff like that, they're not receiving the type of attention that they need to receive. So
okay. So do you actually find yourself maintaining a balance right now, or do you think that there are areas that you need to improve on?
Well, I mean, I think it's always a continuing process, and right now I think I definitely could improve. And honestly, one of the things that I think is important about maintaining a balance, and I will look at the camera when I say this, is giving yourself grace. Because there's going to be seasons where it's hard to maintain a balance, especially like I spoke about earlier, when I first got out of college and was balancing having 2 jobs and was balancing doing stuff for refuge and being in an entirely new setting. I don't think I was giving myself enough like attention in terms of like how I was eating, how like I would like to go to the gym. Like that's one of the things that I wanted to do. I wasn't able to do that. There was other stuff, but I feel like in that season, because of everything that I had on my plate outside of that, I wasn't able to give as much attention as I wanted to other things. And so I think recognizing that there are seasons where some things take priority, and like kind of reorganizing how you're structuring that and what you're giving attention to. Like, I think that's important. Just make sure that you give yourself grace.
Absolutely. And I heard you say that in that season that you were in, and coming back from college and returning home and entering back into ministry, I would say, or ministry becoming a more bigger part in your life, I'm quite sure that it was a kind of like switching in how you were balancing before, the things that you had to balance on your plate before. How would you say that what helped you to kind of like make that switch?
What helped me to make that? Well, I don't think it was like, in terms of like ministry and all of that, it was never something that was too far away from me. I feel like even when I was at Howard, I was in the gospel choir. When in my last semester in Howard, actually, it wasn't a group, but it was a group, but like not an official group, that I had like gathered together and had written a song, and we were doing rehearsals and we ended up recording it and all of that. So it was always like something that was a part of my life. But yeah, it changed when I got back here, and I think just like the structure kind of made it easier. Like, you have a 9 to 5, you have to do the 9 to 5. So like, there's that. You have work after that, you have to go to work. There's church. You don't have to go to church, but for me, I do. So not because of my mom, but because of me. So I feel like once, these are certain things that you have to do, it makes it that much easier to balance it, because like it's something that you have to do with like going to the gym or like taking time to study or something like that. Those are more things that I know that I need to do that there's no requirement for me to do.
Okay.
So I think that's harder to.
Okay, so talking about that, since you're saying there are some things that you know you just have to do. So while you're balancing, are there some things that you say these are non-negotiables? I don't care what's happening around me. These have to stay in my life. These have to stay on the seesaw. They can't come off.
Well, faith, the first thing.
When you say faith, what does that mean to you?
I guess some people would like say it as religion, but like I say faith because I think religion has a connotation to it, and it's more relationship than religion in my mind. So when I say faith, I mean like waking up and praying, coming home, praying, reading my Bible, anything like that. I feel like those are like non-negotiables, and those have to be done at some point during the day.
Okay.
So
you're talking about your relationship with God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like maintaining that, watering that. I think that's a non-negotiable.
And when you say God, are you talking Jesus?
Yeah, I'm talking
Okay,
about.
we just got to get it right here. We just got to get it right. Okay.
Yeah. I think after that, well, I would say like work would be a non-negotiable. Obviously, right now it's a different season in my life, so. And also work is different for everybody. Like whatever you do to make an income is what I consider work. I don't consider like 9 to 5 necessarily to be work. Hopefully at some point that's not my work, but whatever it is, I think that's a non-negotiable. You have to be able to provide for yourself and for those around you. So that's important. And then taking time for yourself is non-negotiable. I think those are my 3 main non-negotiables. And taking time for yourself could be whatever that looks like for you. Like for me, I like to play video games, and at some point maybe not every day, but at some point I'm going to take time to do that because it's how I reset. Or like watching a show or whatever. I typically like to watch something before I go to sleep because that helps me to unwind. So that's kind of a non-negotiable for me, honestly, because it helps me handle everything else that's happening. And then right now, and I'm not going to call this a non-negotiable because I recognize in certain seasons of my life it's not something that I could do just because of how my schedule was, but going to the gym right now is a non-negotiable.
Okay. So basically I'm hearing you saying that you need time for yourself, you need time with God, and you need time in the gym.
Time for work.
Time for work. So those would be your 4 non-negotiables right now. Okay, so you're maintaining a balance. You said it's important. Now, tell us, can you give us, I know you kind of like dibble-dabbled in it a little bit while you were talking, but can you tell the subscribers and viewers, as a young man, as a young Black man, what are some strategies, and I know the strategies could go across the board for anyone, that you would have for maintaining a balance? Or you would tell them, this is how I maintain a balance, and I would, recommend this.
Well, I kind of gave it away at the beginning, but like a routine. Like having structure is definitely important. And then I mentioned before, give yourself grace. Like that's always important, but don't take it too far. And this is one of the things that we've had conversations about, like with going to the gym. If you keep making excuses for yourself, you're going to keep making excuses for yourself.
So, come on now. If you keep making excuses for yourself, you're going to keep making excuses for yourself.
Yeah, and that's...
Let me hide a little. I'm going to hide a little bit right there.
I just think you need, when it comes to a routine, you also need to have discipline alongside that. And everybody has discipline in certain areas. Like for me, if I know I have to wake up and I have to go to the gym, or if I have to wake up and I have to make music, I'll move quicker to do that than I'm like, I have to wake up and study. Like so everybody has their own areas where it's going to be easier, but having a routine, structure makes it easier, and then recognizing that like this is important and I have to prioritize this and I can't keep making excuses because it has to get done. If it's something important to you, then it does have to get done. So
those hard things.
Yeah.
Those hard things that you may not find fun, right? Or it may not be something that you want to do, but it got to be on the seesaw. But I don't really want it on the seesaw. What would you say for me to do to maintain the balance, to make sure that it is on that seesaw and it's not flying up in the air going someplace that won't benefit me?
I can tell you what works for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all I can ask.
At the end of the day, it has to be what works for you. And for me, what works is deciding that like I have to, and that is really just that simple.
So some point it has to be self-motivation. You're motivating yourself.
Yeah.
And what do you tell yourself in that time when you're motivating yourself and that this becomes I have to?
Well, honestly, my thought process is if I give myself an excuse today when nothing's wrong, when something's wrong tomorrow, it'll be that much easier to give myself an excuse.
Ooh.
Like, that's really what it is. Because if I'm tired today, the likelihood is I'll also be tired tomorrow. And then all of the progress that I've made up until this point will be for nothing because I made a pattern of giving myself excuses.
Excuses, excuses, excuses. So we have to learn to get rid of the excuses.
That's 1,000% in everything.
That's the
for me as
we could come up with some good ones.
And there's always going to be a good
It's
excuse.
going to always be a good excuse. Did you hear that, Stars? There's going to always be a good excuse. So tell yourself, excuse, you're not an excuse. Excuse yourself.
No, that's really, and I think you mentioned something about like, I grew up in a house with a Jamaican mom and a Nigerian dad, and growing up like for school and stuff like that, it's easy to be like, well, in our house, grades were an important thing, and like there's always an excuse why your grade wouldn't be like what your grade should be or what they think your grade should be. I think I learned quickly those excuses don't really matter, and so like I just take that kind of mentality into the rest of my life. If I want the outcome or the result that I want from this genuinely, then I'll put in the necessary effort that I need to like get there. So it just depends on how much you think this is important or how much you really want to go for it.
How much you want it. How badly do you want it? I guess that's the question we got to really ask ourselves. How badly do we want it? And in my video, Make That Change, I kind of like talk about when you're stuck. Because that's kind of like a stuck position when you just can't move and go beyond to decide that you're going to do what you need to do, right? And if you want to get some nuggets in regards to getting unstuck, I'm going to also make sure that I put that in the description box below. So please go ahead and check out the description box below. Check out those videos. They are nuggets. Make sure to give me a thumbs up. Now is the time to do it. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe and share this video. Come on now, like and subscribe. Okay. I kind of like pushed you into this to kind of make it seem as if that was your stressful moment in regards to being laid off, which is stressful. But I also want to give you the opportunity to go kind of like ask you, have you ever had like a really stressful, a challenging moment that you felt like really challenged you emotionally? And how did you get back your emotional balance? Because in all of these balancing that we're doing, you mentioned balancing relationships, and I'm gonna ask you to talk about that a little bit too, in regards to balancing. However, emotionally, because a lot of us are kind of like imbalanced emotionally. Can you think of a stressful time that you had that you really had to do some balancing, some skillful balancing on the seesaw?
Yeah. That might have been like one of the harder questions that you asked, honestly, because I think for me, I have a habit of just like rolling with the punches. And so to do that, you do have to like take some time to process and understand exactly what it is that you're feeling. That's hard to do. That right
take time to process instead of just pushing it away, right, to the back of your mind like it doesn't matter.
And I think so I already spoke about it, but the season where I came back and I was working and didn't have a lot of time for myself because of everything that I was trying to juggle. During that time period, one of the things that I did to emotionally regulate, this isn't to process everything that's going on because I think I'm still figuring that out, but one of the things that I did to emotionally regulate was understanding when I get back home, I need this time. like whether it's like 30 minutes, an hour, however much time that I can have before I go to sleep, I need that time to like reset and get ready for the next day that I'm about to have. And I think that worked for me for a period of time, but it's easy to get burnt out. So at some point you do have to take a second to step back, decompress. And honestly, I thank God, because honestly, that's kind of what this period is for me right now. And yeah.
So I'm gonna push you a little bit, because there's somebody out there that might be in the situation that you were in.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that you would want to share with our subscribers or our viewers in regards to the stressful or the challenging time that you went through in your life? I know stress looks different for everyone, so what may be stressful for you may not be stressful for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But is it something that you would like to share, or you say, no, I think I'm gonna reserve that for myself?
Honestly, like, I don't think I really thought about it that much at that point in time. I don't think I was really like, sorry, I'm moving stuff. But I don't think I was really like, I was just going. Like, I was just going. And so I didn't take a second to like be like, wow, this is like too much, or this was like this or something like that. Because if I did do that, then it would be hard to keep doing it. So it was more so like, all right, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. Take a second. You gotta do this, you gotta do this, take a second, you gotta do. And then those seconds just became really important.
Okay. So you're saying that for your emotional stability, in order to maintain that balance emotionally, you just had to remind yourself, stop and take a break. Yeah. But then keep going.
Yeah.
So even though we're hurting, even though we're going through whatever emotional situation, it might be a divorce, it might be something regarding ACS, it might be you lost your job, it might be something in regards to your children, whatever that stressor may be, keep going. Yeah, you're going to need those times where you're going to pause and take a break for yourself. Take a break for yourself. Cry if you have to cry, but then keep going. Come back again, stop and cry, but keep going. That's a great strategy.
And give yourself grace.
Give yourself grace. Because God's grace is sufficient. It's more than enough.
Balance doesn't happen overnight. Doesn't happen just because you're like, okay, I'm gonna be balanced now. But also, balance doesn't look the same day to day.
Come on, that's what I'm trying to say, because some people are saying, that balance, there's no such thing as balance.
Yeah.
But balance is just what you're putting on the seesaw.
Yeah.
What's on the seesaw? No, everything don't need to be on the seesaw.
Everything doesn't need to be on the seesaw, and everything doesn't need to be on the seesaw at the same time.
Come on.
Like, if there's, like, for me, because I had work and then I had work on top of that, adding the gym to that side of the seesaw would have collapsed. So something had to come off so that it could be balanced out. However, once the things change, as seasons come and go, like, you can add different things to different sides of the seesaw, and on top of that, like.
And don't forget the other side of the seesaw, because you may put on this side, but the other side could get a little bit too.
I mean, that's where music is. That's where the times you spend with your family, the times you spend by yourself. That's where all the times you spend on your relationships. That's how it balances out. But also, like, in the gym, like, if you're going to the gym, like, you do 5 days and you have 2 rest days, or you do 6 days, you have 2 rest days, however many days, like, those rest days are important, and you can fill that with whatever else you need to get done. So it's always a balance.
Now, I heard you mention several times, and because you mentioned it again, I will go there.
Yeah, no, there's no reason. There's no need.
We want to know regarding relationship. Is there how are you balancing relationship? What does balancing relationship even look like for you?
Yeah.
What relationships are you balancing?
That is a good question. What does balancing relationships look like for me? I feel like the relationships that I have, the relationships that I want to water, are relationships that are additive. Additive.
Okay, explain additive.
I feel like a relationship, if it's worth maintaining, if it's worth watering, it shouldn't take away your energy. It shouldn't feel like you're overextending or overpouring. And
Relationships worthwhile having should not what?
It shouldn't be where you're overextending. It shouldn't be
draining you. It should not be draining you. Okay.
And so I feel like that's one of the main things that I try to prioritize in my relationships, and that makes it easier to help maintain a balance if you have people around you who are pouring into you and who, like, you guys are mutually pouring into each other. Like,
reciprocating the pouring. That's important. Make sure the pouring is reciprocated.
Make sure the pouring is reciprocated. Once I feel like this is no longer benefiting me and it's taking away from my ability to handle the other things that I have on my plate, then I'll take a step back, or I'll communicate that, and then I'll take a step back. But
I like that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you, right? Yeah. But I like when you say that you will communicate that, because not many people nowadays are willing to communicate when they don't like something. It's more or less like little by little, I kind of like shuffle away from you. Yeah, just a couple of steps back, and you keep going back until, you know, those cartoons where the person keep going back until they go into the bushes and then they start running away. But the mere fact that you say that I can let someone know, I'm gonna communicate that. So a communication, a good part of balance, right?
I mean, I think balancing relationships is an entirely different science. So that's a whole different thing. But communicating is a key component of that. That's the main. Honestly, I think it's the most important thing. And
I think so too.
Yeah. If your communication styles aren't compatible, that's also an important thing to like be aware of.
Ooh, communication styles. Tell me the styles of communicating. Like what?
That's a whole different.
Just give us a little rundown. Like, what does communication? Tell me at least 2 or 3 different types of communication.
Well, I know for me, I like to be direct in terms of how I communicate. I like to be straightforward.
Direct.
Some people can appreciate that. Some people might not appreciate it because it might be abrasive or it might be blunt. For other people, it's more sensitive, more softer. That's another type of communication style. Not communicating at all is another type of communication style. Some people communicate through their actions, and that's another type of communication. Passive aggressive. It doesn't have to necessarily be passive aggressive, but it's not as forward, and it's more subliminal, and so you have to be aware of the type of person that they are and aware of like what their triggers are, how they move, because they're not going to tell you that explicitly. And so I think,
wow,
for me personally,
you got to come back. You got to come back and talk to us about communicating in relationships. Okay,
that's a whole nother conversation, and I feel like you got to give me more time to flesh it out. But yeah, like for me personally, I think I deal best with somebody who also communicates directly. Just because I don't have time to beat around the bush like that, I prefer not to do that.
And don't got time for all the sensitivity and all of the emotions.
I mean, I'll try to be supportive to emotions and all of that. And when I say things directly, I still try to be empathetic in how I deliver it. Okay. Like, I'm not just gonna be super rude. At the same time, like there's give and take. So
okay. So now that we've gotten all of that, I want to ask you one final question in regards to that. We could just wrap up this segment or this section of it, because we are going to have another section, because this is Shae's Equilibrium and we got to maintain a balance. So my final question and I'm going to ask is, do you find yourself sacrificing anything in your life to maintain a balance? And if so, what are some of those things you're sacrificing?
Well, right now I don't have to sacrifice much except like immediate income, because I'm not working. But you have to sacrifice for everything. Like, that's just a part of life. If you want to be successful, you have to sacrifice having fun sometimes.
But even with the things that you have on your plate now, because you do have a part-time job that you have still, right? And you still have to continue to do your you mentioned Kingdom Sounds. And if you could just tell us what Kingdom Sounds is.
I will tell you what Kingdom Sound is. So Kingdom Sound is essentially a group that we came together and we created this group of 5 different voices: myself, Simonette, Chantel, Rihanna, Giovanni. Shout out to you guys. And it's our musicians as well. So we come together, we're across various churches, and we just want to sing, use the gifts that God has given us to spread his gospel. And I feel like it's important for me personally because I love to sing, but I also want to create a space where I can do that collaboratively. And so that's what we're doing. And we're creating songs, we're ministering those songs, and we're trying to spread the gospel. So that's what we do. That's Kingdom Sound. What was
So
your
now
question?
you're balancing because you were like, oh, I'm not working right now, so I don't really have much to balance. But you're talking about going to gym. You have your part-time job. You have Kingdom Sounds. You also have your relationships, friendships, your family time that you have to spend with your family. You also have your church life that you have, and you're going to the gym. So all of these things are on your plate or on your seesaw. So how are you balancing all of these things, or do you find yourself having to sacrifice anything while you have all of these things in your life going on?
Well, I will say, not having a 9 to 5 makes it easier.
Absolutely.
However, honestly, right now, I think it's more divvying it up the way it needs to be divvied up. Like, honestly, for the part-time, like, that doesn't, I'm in the off season right now, so I'm not directly doing anything right now, so I guess you could say that's being sacrificed, but it's not weighing heavily on the seesaw right now. Everything else is more so like, okay, I just have to allocate time to doing this. I have to allocate time to doing that, and I have to make sure that it gets done. And it's not like this has to be done every day type of thing. It's more like what am I going to tackle? When am I going to tackle it across the course of the week? And then go from there. So I have more physical freedom right now, or is that the word? I have more freedom with my time right now.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, it's easier to handle everything, but there's always going to be a sacrifice to be made. All of those things that I mentioned are like kind of non-negotiables right now just because of the stage of life that I'm in. So it's just about finding what time that can be had, but I don't think anything's necessarily going to be sacrificed.
Okay. So prior to you being laid off,
Yeah.
okay, what were some things that you found yourself sacrificing to maintain a balance?
Everything at some point. Everything got like you had to make every sacrifice at some point. But
What does sacrifice look like for you?
see, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessarily, when we say sacrifice, like sometimes it has a bad connotation to it because like but I think in terms of like having a balance, I don't look at it as a negative. I think it's just prioritization.
Okay.
And so even if I'm sacrificing something, I'm not just giving it up. I'm gonna come back to it. I'm gonna try to water that plant when the time's there. I was having a conversation with somebody. We were talking about work-life balance, and the conclusion we came into is like that doesn't really exist, like in certain fields, just because work is always there and it's kind of hard to. Sometimes the lines blend. Sometimes it merges, and so what it is.
So then it goes back to what I said to you before.
Yeah.
Then some people say there's really no balance.
It's not that there's no balance. It's just how do you prioritize?
Okay.
And then, like, it's a seesaw. When you feel like this side is getting too heavy, then you're like, okay, I have to prioritize this side, and then you fix it. You got to put it back to equilibrium. But it's not a stagnant thing. Life is not stagnant. There's gonna be seasons of ebbs and flows, and so when that comes, you have to be able to manage it and give it the proper attention that it needs to. Which is why creating a balance is. If you could do the same thing every day, then like it would be that much easier. When I said a routine earlier, I wasn't saying like every day is going to be the exact same, but it just gives you structure on how to handle it. When things change, you have to be able to address that as it comes along. Having the structure there, having the discipline there makes it easier because you're like, okay, I know that this has to get done, but you also have to give yourself grace. So discipline and grace are the 2 takeaways if I was to give you one. Discipline, you're like, I know this has to be done, and so I'm going to try to do it as long as I have the time to do it, as long as the provision is there for me to do it. But also grace. If something falls off and I have to make adjustments, I understand it's because life happens.
Absolutely. And no excuses.
No excuses.
No excuses.
That's a part of discipline, though. That's a part of discipline.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Ota. We're going to go into our next segment, which is scale to style. So before we go on into scale to style, is there anything that you would just like to sum up for our viewers and subscribers?
I think I just did
balance.
it. I think
so. I think so too.
Yeah. Discipline and grace. And once you have those two,
run the race. Run, take a break, and keep running.
This is where I get my lyricism from. Clearly, she can rhyme anytime. That was corny. Cut that.
It worked. Okay, so now we're in scale to style. What would you say your style is? If you were to describe yourself in 3 words, your style, what would you say your style is?
It's a good question. I would say adaptable, just because it's not really one size fits all type of thing.
Adaptable.
Yeah.
So that means, what does that look like? Somebody's trying to say, okay, adaptable style. What does that look like?
It means like it changes for whatever it needs, whatever it is for. Like sometimes I'll probably put on.
I know what adapt means. I'm trying to see it. What does that look like?
I mean, like right now, this is something that I would like wear consistently. I feel like, but like that's
okay. So you're talking like your style then would be like a polo top and a slacks,
it's flexible. So all right, I'm going to explain. So like if I'm going out, sometimes it might be like streetwear. But if I'm going to church or if I'm going to...
Okay, so that's what I wanted. So one of your styles is a streetwear. You would say you wear streetwear. Okay.
Yeah, at times. And then, obviously, I like to be comfortable. So, like, sometimes it's, like, loose-fitting clothes and stuff like that.
Okay, so then you would be talking about, like, sweats?
I'll put on sweats here, for sure.
Okay, so definitely sweats. And then you said for church, your church wear.
Like that, yeah.
Okay. And when you talk about church wear, you're talking about, like, suits and jacket? Like,
I put on a suit or jacket. I put on a sweater if it's, like, not as formal as a service, like a sweater with a jacket on over it. But, yeah.
So I think you kind of like answer some of the question, but I'm going to kind of like ask you, what do you actually find yourself styling for in your life? Like what areas of your life? I know you said church. Mm-hmm. Where would you find yourself wearing the streetwear to?
If I'm going, like, I went to a movie yesterday. Okay. If I'm going to a movie, I wear street clothes. If I like a fair or something like that, or like an amusement park or something, I put on streetwear and stuff like that. So even if I'm going to like the barber, like anything that's like casual, then I'll probably do that, or I'll put on something comfortable. One of those two.
Yeah. So what would you say are your go-to pieces? Like in your wardrobe, you must have these things.
So right now it's probably like baggy jeans. I wear baggy like blackish jeans all the time. Big shorts, especially because it's summertime. So like shorts that like go past the knees is what I wear a lot. I wear a lot of white and like black tees. So
you're more a neutral person. You're not really color.
I put on color if I'm like feeling it, but not often. And then, yeah, that's probably the main things. And then I put on some accessories. I put on like a bracelet. I put on like a necklace, a chain, or something like that.
Okay. So would you consider yourself to be like, and I think this is kind of like more for girls than guys, but I've seen some guys that actually are maximalist. Would you consider yourself to be a maximalist or a minimalist when you're dressing yourself? Maximalist mean you're like putting on a whole bunch of things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How would you describe? Would you say maximalist or a minimalist or metro person?
What's a mediumist? I don't know.
He's a mediumist.
I just put on my clothes.
We don't want no mediums.
Yeah,
we're not consulted with no mediums.
I consult with the mirror myself.
You consult with the mirror.
If I like it, then it goes. That's about it.
So you're just putting on whatever you want to put on.
Yeah.
Typical guy answer. Well, for some guys. Well, thank you, Ota. It was fun having you here today. Thank you for taking the time out of your not so busy schedule.
Because we've been trying to do this for a while.
Yes, we have.
Look, it happened.
It has been, your schedule has really been busy. So
Yeah.
thank you, Lord, that it kind of like calmed down. And I'm okay as a mom with your schedule not being as hectic and as busy as it was before, as the Lord leads you and guides you as to what's going to be your next step in life. But I want to thank you for taking the time
Thank you for having
to
me.
meet with us here. Remember, stars, check down in the description box for other videos regarding how to maintain a balance in your life. And we can only continue to do what stars do. We
Shine brightly.
hey.
Right.
Thank you. God bless. Bye.